ready for that matchup between Frank Park and David Evans. These guys definitely got two different unique styles. Frank Park has got heavy hands. David Evans has got his unique style. We'll see what these guys have to say.
Known for his heavy hands.
Right hand.
Frank Park.
He's doing just what he should, though. He should stay on right now.
Wow! Frank Park immediately turns it around and knocks out.
Frank Park makes his return to King of the Cage since December of 2012, but tonight could be his toughest fight to date. When he gets set to battle it out with David Evans, who sports an impressive record in his amateur and professional career. Tonight, he enters the cage with a shot to make a huge statement here at King of the Cage.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to see on fight night. I'm in shape. I'll just adjust and adapt inside. I don't even know what he looks like, actually, so it'll be a surprise at weigh-ins.
I plan on being like water. So I know it's like a strange saying, but whatever he do, he can only defeat himself.
I don't just, my first fight, I just went out there and I blacked out and I started swinging, but I'm a little bit more calculated and I know what my weaknesses are.
He would say he was like water. He was like water.
David Evans, we meet tonight in the cage. I hope you're ready because I am, and I'm ready to bring it.
I love him a lot, so I'm gonna prove it. Whatever happens, happens. He in there with me. So was my father and all my relatives and the city, churches, everybody, everything with me. So I'm ready. I'm ready to prove myself.
Now that you've had a glimpse into the personalities of Park and Evans, let's see how they match up physically. It's a traditional confrontation between the veteran Park and the young upstart Evans. Will Park be able to land his heavy hands, or will the unique style of the yellow chakra be too much for the Korean fighter? Let's send it over to the veteran voice of the cage, Dean Stone.
Ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening to you, and we welcome you to the San Manuel Indian Bingo and Casino, Highland, California, where tonight, King of the Cage and Lucas Oil present an exciting night of mixed martial arts action live on MAV TV. All bouts are sanctioned by the California State Athletic Commission, Commissioner John Frierson Chair, Executive Officer Andy Foster. It's in conjunction with King of the Cage Incorporated, President and Founder Terry Trebilcock Jr., Matchmaker Mike Lowe. It is also under the supervision of the San Manuel Band of Mission Indians, Commissioner Norm DeRosier, Deputy Commissioner John Roberts. All right, fight fans, here we go, introducing Frank, the Korean Catastrophe Park.
All right, everybody, we are here at San Manuel, Highland, California, with our first matchup of the evening. Frank, the Korean Catastrophe Park, coming into the cage right now, and obviously Sean Canova joining me in the commentary booth along with Joe Stevenson. Sean, what do you know about Frank Park and the gym he comes from?
Well, I'll tell you what, Frank's been, he's been coming up, he's been around for a long time. He's a big guy at 170 pounds. He comes in shape. He's from a great camp. You know, their jiu-jitsu's off the hook over at De La O. But there's a new fire there. They got this Henry Corrales kid who's just been rototilling guys. So there's something going on down there in that camp. And that means a lot when it comes to fight preparation. There's guys who are pumped up, they're excited, they want to fight. So they're training hard and they got a lot to prove.
Joe, you've obviously trained a lot of fighters yourself at the Cobra Kai gym up there in the high desert. You know, John De La O's camp, I mean, I'm sure that a lot of your fighters have fought his guys too. How does that add up? How tough are those guys?
Honestly, everyone in that camp is dangerous. They don't have anyone, you know, that you want to fight. There's never a pushover.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm really interested to see this fight after, you know, Frank taking a little time. There's definitely a size difference here with the reach. I'm just really excited for this fight.
Well, with 2 KOs and 1 TKO to his victories, that pretty much all his wins have come by that way. You know he's got heavy hands and he's ready to bring it here tonight.
That's the disturbing thing is, you know, he's got 2 knockouts. He's got knockout capability, but I mean, we really haven't seen his ground. What if he's even better on the ground?
Absolutely. Take a look at the, you know, Frank Park. He's coming out of Stanton, California. Obviously has his black belt in Taekwondo. And, you know, he's very skilled ground game, but like you said, Joe, we have not witnessed that. And coming from a camp like John De La O, we will have to see tonight how that adds up.
As a fighter, you never really want to take it to where, you know, your weaknesses are. You want to really exploit your opponent. So this is really going to be a great fight tonight.
Well, we get set at David Evans makes. We'll go ahead and throw it to Dean Stone.
Introducing David, the Demon Evans.
Well, here we go. David Evans claims to have a unique style, and I'm very excited to see that match up against, you know, Frank Park. You know, David Evans doesn't come from a very easy town, Detroit. You got to know how to fight out in that area.
Well, he seems very not only in sync with wanting to win, but it looks like everything's riding on every fight in front of him. So it looks like he leaves nothing out there on the table.
Yeah, David Evans obviously claims he is flowing like water. That is obviously a quote from Bruce Lee. I'm very interested to see what he brings to the table. I've seen a couple of his fights when I was in Michigan, and he's an absolute brawler. He loves to bring it, but obviously that unique style could possibly throw Frank's game off just a bit.
Yeah, I don't know about that whole flowing whip like water from Detroit, Michigan. He's from the MASH Academy. They get in there and they bash guys. They're great wrestlers. James Lee's no slouch. They know how to wrestle, they know how to train, and they're aggressive. That's the thing about these kids from Detroit. They come out to win and to punish.
And James Lee, obviously no stranger to the ground game with all his vicious heel hooks that he would pull off back in the day. And you see that in his proteges a lot of the time. So I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see that tonight. So tonight, David Evans gets a chance to be in the limelight as he takes on Frank Park, which could be possibly fight of the night. You know, when you're in this situation and you're put in the limelight, you obviously want to do the best you can. You want to walk away with a knockout. No decision, just ended, man.
Well, I mean, both these fighters, we're talking about, you know, David here having a 79.5-inch reach. I mean, he's going against a man that, you know, has 2 knockouts, but I mean, with that reach, I don't think he's scared to stand. I think this fight is going to be a fight everywhere.
Obviously, and I think Frank Park is obviously going to have to stand in the pocket or maybe have to go to his ground game like we were talking about and have to utilize the skills that he's used over at John De La O's camp. And of course, we want to thank San Manuel Indian Bingo and Casino for hosting King of the Cage tonight here on MAV TV.
Joe, let me ask you a quick question. You know, David Evans coming in with not a whole lot of professional fight experience, but he has a lot of amateur fight background. How does that play into the mix?
They say with, you know, every fighter only has so many fights in him, and you really don't want to waste too many of those in your amateur, but honestly, some of these amateurs are as tough as the best pros out there, and it's just a matter of who you fight at the right time. I think all that amateur experience is going to come and pay off for him right now. I think we're about to see some fireworks.
Right.
You know, they're taking a long time inspecting him there. It's like TSA going on.
Well, he's from Detroit. What do you expect?
Yeah, that's what I was going to
The
say.
murder capital of the world.
Is he coming from Detroit? Well, some of his strengths, he's fighting now the MASH fight team. Obviously, he's got a good ground game out of Waterford, Michigan. You know, I'm telling you, he's considered a young phenom by veteran. And I'm telling you what, he's got an impressive 29-3 amateur record. You cannot even say anything about that. He's fought like a pro. The only difference is the time and maybe elbows. That's about it when it comes to the pro and amateur matchup. Let's go ahead and get this thrown and get this started. Throw it to Dean Stone. Let's take a look at the rules of combat real quick. Undercard matches consist of 2 to 3 5-minute rounds. Title and super fight matches consist of 3 to 5-minute rounds. It can happen by a knockout, a tap out, referee stoppage, corner throwing the towel in, event doctor stoppage, decision based equally on striking, grappling, and aggression. There will be no holding on the cage. And of course, the rules and regulations can change depending on the location event. And don't throw your opponent out of the cage, Joe. You got that?
It's frowned upon.
All right, we go ahead and throw it to the voice of the cage, Dean Stone.
Ladies and gentlemen, this King of the Cage bout is scheduled for 3 rounds in the welterweight division. Your referee in charge of the action, Big John McCarthy. Introducing first in the Lucas Oil blue corner, standing 6 feet tall. Official weight, 170.5 4 pounds. He represents De La O Jiu-Jitsu and Bravado Muay Thai. Ladies and gentlemen, from Fullerton, California, presenting Frank, the Korean Catastrophe Park. His opponent across the cage, fighting out of the Lucas Oil red corner stance at 6'1". Official weight, an even 168 pounds. He represents 36th Deadly Chambers, James Lee's MASH Fight Team, and Courageous MMA. Ladies and gentlemen, from the Detroit, Michigan, presenting David the Demon Evans. Once again, your referee in charge, Big John McCarthy, for the final instructions. 3 rounds of welterweight action scheduled.
Went over the rules. Protect yourself at all times. Obey my commands at all times. Fight clean, fight hard, fight hard. Touch your gloves. Best of luck to both of you.
Big John McCarthy, our rep for this matchup, as Frank, the Korean Catastrophe Park, gets set to take on David the Demon Evans. This is going to be a wall-out war, guys.
Looks like they're going to touch gloves. You know, right now, both fighters looking at each other.
There's that style we were talking about, David Evans with the Karate Kid stance there.
David Evans coming out trying to establish that jab.
He looks prepared for the southpaw stance, and he's able to go back and forth really well. He's got to be careful ducking his head there. If Frank ends up throwing a high knee or head kick, it could be dangerous for him.
You know, Frank obviously took some time off for quite some time, and now he's fighting again.
Ooh, nice right hand there. But you know what? He shakes it off. He's right back up.
I think we got a low blow there. I'm not quite sure.
Once again, as a fighter, you know, you really don't want to say, hey, he hit me in low. You want the ref to dictate that.
Sure, absolutely.
Right now, Frank needs to get his back off the cage because in the judge's eyes, you know, he's losing right now. He's on his back against the cage. He's being controlled.
David Evans establishing that jab. That's a good jab up high. It's a great check by Evans.
He seems not to be worried with the southpaw stance. Frank, he was circling to the weak side. Now he's switched his stance himself. He's looking for that side kick there. Maybe a back pressing kick.
David Evans is the kind of fighter that could fight all night.
Oh.
And he's fought in tournaments where he's fought 3 times in a row, so right now he's coming in and closing the distance.
I'll tell you what, David Evans had some really awkward combinations there. You know, he went front push kick to elbow, doing all kinds of crazy stuff.
Gotta be careful with that downward elbow there. I mean, there definitely was an arc there.
Right.
But you never know what the rep's gonna see.
Right. You catch the tail end of that, that's a point taken away. And at this point right now, it's tight.
Well, they're both not just holding on. They're both trying to land strikes in every position they've been in. I wonder if the little bit of jet lag for David is showing. Oh, man.
And Frank Park just looks down like, what was that? But these are the kind of, that was almost like a taunting.
Well, honestly, you kind of, you're mad when your opponent does that to you, and you're really embarrassed when it lands.
Yeah, absolutely. It's humbling to get kicked like that, too.
So you can tell there's a little, Frank's like, all right, man, let me pick it up here. Beautiful head kick there.
Frank Park utilizing his Taekwondo skills.
Dave wasn't really backed off too much from that. He came back in with some good flying knees there. Got to be careful dropping his hands there.
Evans getting a little bit sloppy with that flying knee. That's just way off there.
He might feel a little bit of confidence from catching him and slipping with that right hand earlier. Definitely nice and loose out there and surprising.
I tell you, that was a nasty spinning back fist he just landed. Looks like he's just kind of taking a breather right here. He's expending a lot of energy in this first round.
It's going to make me very curious to see how he reacts in the third and second round. You got to be really careful too when you're throwing that spinning back fist. A lot of times your elbow can get caught. I mean, it's definitely a dangerous position. You can end up getting taken down.
Right. I'll tell you what, Frank Park just tried to take that down, and David Evans with some good hips on that inside judo throw. Frank Parks switched it up, ends up on top in a half guard.
I think this is where we are going to see the skills being tested of Frank Parks' ground game. We haven't really seen his fights go to the ground many of the times.
Well, and the time off. Let's not forget, you know, he's not. It's not like he's been too active right here in the present. Both fighters doing a good job. If I'm Frank right now, I'm looking to neutralize my opponent's strikes and try to get back to my feet. Looks like he's got that high guard there, and he's waiting for an opportunity to shoot like triangle armbar there. But Dave's not being tricked. He's staying in good posture, staying up like that. You got to be very careful there, dropping those elbows.
Yeah, those are very unorthodox, and you know it's really difficult to train for something like that. Getting an elbow at that angle.
Well, it's always the shot that you don't see coming that ends up getting you.
Absolutely.
But notice how he's coming in from that from the angle with the mat. That makes it totally legal there.
Right. What does David need to do to take the back of Frank right now? Exactly as I say that, he starts to take it.
He's got to be careful. He didn't. Yeah, he didn't settle back on the hips there.
David Evans with that flying elbow, and Frank Park with a knee for a receipt.
I can't tell if David is tired or if he's just trying to trick Frank in there to overcommitting and land a big shot. But Frank definitely does not look fatigued.
This is where Frank is dangerous.
You know what? This makes it so hard to call. You know, clearly he got taken down, but then Frank coming back with devastating hands. I think he messed up there, backing off.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Joe. It looked like he was a little tired. He didn't look like he was tired at all through a three-punch combination. Actually looked like he rocked David Evans for a second, didn't step in and finish. What's going on with that?
Well, a lot of times when we're hitting mitts, we'll throw 3-4 punch combination, stop.
Right.
All on the bag, we stop. I think that's what just happened there.
Right.
All right, let's take a quick look at the replay as Joe Stevenson walks us through it.
Beautiful, beautiful, like keeping Frank guessing right now. David is throwing feet, throwing hands, throwing elbows. Very unorthodox, very tricky, hard to catch a rhythm. You can see right here where he's going for the takedown, ends up getting on top. David, great hips, tricky hips. And I really think that Frank didn't really commit too hard to that. Got to be careful of those up kicks, though. Those can be fight ending. Right here is one of those elbows where it could be controversial. You could tell that he wanted to come in from the side, but it definitely looked north to south to me.
And obviously Frank Park came in here with a couple shots that would stun Evans a little bit. That nice couple of shots to follow up there, and then that nice body kick. So right now we have a look at both corners there. Frank Park and David Evans looking a little bit tired.
Yeah, Frank Park breathing out of his mouth. I can't say he's comfortable at this point right now.
No, absolutely.
I don't think either one of them are comfortable.
Hey, they're on national TV right now. Who would be comfortable?
I really like the sportsmanship, touching the gloves. Looks like that front kick actually made David change stance. Those are some hard kicks. He's not slapping. Oh, gotta be careful with sweat.
If you had to give a fight to whoever it was in the first round, who would it go to?
Well, I'm glad I'm not a judge.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Right now, it's
Frank's
in
doing
Frank
a great
Park's
job
corner.
following up right now. Dave, you got to be careful. Nice. I like how he shot in there so the ref wouldn't think, you know, oh,
And
I'm going
gets
to
the
stop it.
takedown.
Yeah, I mean, going from taking some big shots to getting on top, definitely a lot better position, but he's got to be careful of this high guard again.
Obviously, the guys at Team MASH, they've got a very solid wrestling background, especially with someone like James Lee in their corner. So David Evans is probably going to take this where he's most comfortable. Obviously, we know he has an awkward style, but that awkward style kind of works for him on the ground, too.
Well, he's got to be careful. You see how he's leaning so far in right here? David's really driving his weight in there, and it makes him susceptible to slip, arm bars, triangles. It gives up a lot. You really need to focus, settle on your toes, get wide base with your knees, get inside control, start landing some big shots. I'd like to see some elbows here, but you really can't do that until your base is secure.
Right, Frank Park doing a good job of controlling the distance, keeping it where he wants, trying to set up that high guard. You know, he's looking like he has the left foot on the hip occasionally here and there. There it goes, trying to set up that high guard, maybe trying to work a triangle, arm bar or something.
Well, it looks like right now he's trying to reverse arm bar, and then he's going to use that to go into a triangle. He's got if David is silly enough to underhook that leg, he's going to be in trouble here. David doing a good job of blocking, but can you really give him this round? Because Frank ended up, you know, pretty much owning him on the feet. He got taken down, and Frank seems to be doing more of the action on bottom than David.
McCarthy has seen enough and says stand up They will get a fresh start here in round 2.
Is this a good thing for Frank or for David? What do you think?
You could see right there, Frank Park was a little excited, like he got a Christmas present there from McCarthy.
Yeah, when you're on bottom and the ref stands it up, you suddenly have a burst of energy.
Yeah.
Being on top, it's very frustrating. Nice job. Short shots there and doing a good job. David's got to be careful when he's turning away from getting struck. The referee can take that as like him retreating and giving up. Ooh. This is the first attempt of a takedown that David didn't get, I believe. So maybe the momentum's changing right now here in the second round.
I think just the size of Frank Park is starting to wear a little bit on David. You know, Frank Park's obviously a bigger man, driving some good inside knees off of the fence.
10 seconds remains in round number 2.
David may be blocking these shots, but he's still absorbing them. I think you're exactly right there, Sean. It is 100%. Oh, another attempt, but this time ends up giving up mount. And this is not the way you want to end the second round. Oh.
Frank Park going to work, driving elbows, crushing elbows, trying to finish this before the end of the second round. But David Evans might escape. There's only a few seconds left.
You've got a seasoned referee in there like John McCarthy. Definitely not going to have an early stoppage or a late stoppage. So I think right now David needs to work. I do think that David needs to be pushing on the hips. Right now, it's kind of, he's looking up, taking these big shots, and it's totally up to the discretion of the referee to stop it or not. You can only take so many of these big unanswered blows.
Especially if you're unanswered and not punching back.
Bicep strangle right here. He's going to dismount from mount. Oh, David tried to bridge him over. It looks good. We got a whole minute here.
You know, we questioned the ground game of Frank Park. Does he have it? And so far, he's utilizing those tools.
That bicep strangle is pretty good, but I don't think he should switch over to mount. I think he switched over mount there just to land some more big strikes.
McCarthy was that close, though. Did you not see that? He touched him, and right now, David Evans is in trouble.
As your coach, as the coach right now, and you see that the referee is about to stop it, you get very frustrated.
Yeah.
But you know what? You can't blame Frank. Look at that beautiful job.
The Korean catastrophe. Frank Park comes out victorious, takes out the likes of David Evans. On the ground, Sean. You know, we were talking about that. Does he have the ground game? And I think we saw some of that tonight.
Well, you know, De La Hoya's guys, they're all magnificent on the ground. You know, he was trying to set up the high guard, trying to set up some stuff. He almost had that side choke, that arm triangle finish, another second or two. There it is. If he'd have flattened his hips out and turned it clockwise, he may have finished that.
Yeah, you know, and you saw John McCarthy almost step in and stop it. And right here is where he set that up.
Right. You know, from this mount position, those guys are impossible to get off. I'm telling you, De La Hoya's camp is back with a vengeance.
Let's take a quick look at another angle here, how this all ended up. Just ground and pound from Frank Park nonstop. And David Evans just tapped out. He said no more.
Well, Frank Park's a massive guy. At 170, he's a gigantic, tall, lean dude. So all that weight on you after 14 minutes is going to wear on you.
You know, David Evans, even though he has one fight in his pro career, the guy has fought over 28 times in his amateur career. That says a lot about him. So he has had the experience. So this was probably a tougher fight for Frank Park, I'd have to say.
Right. You know, he didn't panic. He was in some bad positions, but he did good for his second pro fight. He was in it the entire time.
David Evans obviously going back to Detroit, going back to the drawing board to see what they can do. And obviously has nothing to be ashamed of. He absolutely put up a great fight tonight. So, absolutely, we're here at San Manuel Indian Bingo Casino, Highland, California. Let's throw it to Dean Stone.
Ladies and gentlemen, referee Big John McCarthy calls a halt to this bout due to strikes. The official time, 4 minutes and 32 seconds of round number 2. Your winner by TKO, Frank, the Korean catastrophe, Park.
We're going to go ahead and throw it to Joe Stevenson to have some words with Frank Park.
Second round there. Coming into the second round, what did you change after the first round and feeling out and everything, getting the nerves out? What was a big change in the second round? Because you looked unbelievable.
Honestly, I didn't listen to my corner in the first. I'm kind of wild and go at my own pace, and I actually started hearing Tom, John, Randy. So, they're breathing slow. They can see things better than I can, and I listened.
Okay, right there with the finish there, you had the arm triangle, and the referee was ready to stop it, and then you reapplied mount there. So what was going through your mind there when you transitioned from a finish to going back into the mount?
I actually saw John McCarthy right in front of my face, but his breathing wasn't changing. So you know what I said? I'm better off finishing him with punches.
Judgment call. Great job out there tonight, man.
Thank you.
Great job, Frank.
It's an honor to be interviewed by you, Joe.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe Stevenson. A couple words with Frank Park there. And happy Frank Park at that. His father's here tonight. And what better way to show your father what you do for a living and win.
Right, well, I mean, that was a great performance for him through a really awkward guy.
Let's take a look at some programming on MAV TV.
They may have different styles. They may have different personalities. But they all share one thing in common. King of the Cage is searching for the next big star in MMA. 40 amateur fighters and 20 fights. 5 contracts are on the line, worth up to $250,000. On Saturday, October 19th, amateur fighters from all over the globe will come together to find out who will be the next King of the Cage legend. Only 5 fighters will receive contracts totaling up to $250,000 for one night only. The World Amateur Championships, October 19th in Las Vegas, Nevada, at the Palms Casino Resort. Brought to you by Lucas Oil and MAV TV. Now, stay up to date with KingofTheCage.com with upcoming shows, fighter rankings, TV listings, news updates, interviews, the Cage Girls, fight gear, clothing for all ages, and more. Go behind the cage and visit KingofTheCage.com.
MAV TV presents the Lucas Oil American Sprint Car Series. The top winged sprint car drivers across the country compete for the national championship.
It'll be a dogfight right to the very last round.
Don't miss these winged warriors speeding in excess of 100 miles per hour on dirt.
Oh man, wheel to wheel they go.
The Lucas Oil American Sprint Car Series, Saturday, 3 p.m. Only on MAV TV, American Real.
From MMA to motorsports, everything, you check us out on MAV TV. You can learn more.